Welcome to Fargo Talks.
Fargo Talks.
Fargo Talks.
This is Fargo Talks.
And we're live, by the way.
Oh,
Welcome, kids.
thank
Thanks for
you.
coming on.
Glad to be here.
This has been a little time in the making, but we talked about a month ago.
Correct.
And Amanda was the one that told me all about you guys. I was like,
We love Amanda with the Dichotomy Diaries.
oh, shout out to Amanda.
She's fun.
Yeah, she's
Hey, girl.
great. Yeah, Dichotomy Diaries. If you're not checking her out, please do. She's fantastic. And if you're into trauma drama,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
you want to check out what she's gone through is unbelievable. So, all right, kids, tell me about your podcast.
Take it away, Marcus.
This started out as a way for me to share stories that I had while dating after marriage, after divorce, I guess you would say. So I was married for 16 years, and I got married in early 2000s, like 2001. Hadn't dated since like the 90s. And then when I got divorced in 2017, the world had changed. The whole dating world had changed. And so I was trying to figure out where to start, where to go. I didn't even know what to do. I knew they had swiping apps. So I did what everybody does when they get divorced. Most people start swiping. And I was not making any quality connections at all. It was a nightmare, like absolute shit show nightmare. So I had seen on a talk show or something about this older man, and he had this beautiful young lady, and she said, I'm with him only because of the money. I gave him an opportunity because he's wealthy. And he goes, and I know she's with me only because of the money. But their relationship had grown where they were almost like best friends. And I was like, well, I've accomplished a few things. I'm much more confident now. I've done some things in business. I have some finances. I'll bribe somebody just to go out on a date with me, somebody that I'm attracted to, right? So I went to a sugar dating site, sugar daddy, sugar baby site. Wow. I started looking at all the selections, and I'm like, these girls seemed to be a little better looking, a little more put together than the ones that I was trying to match with on those regular apps. And so I started, and it was a world that I discovered I had no idea existed. And I had no idea of getting through the mess to find what you were looking for. I had no idea what that process was going to be. And I quickly discovered that it was a lot of fun, but then there's a lot of, oh my God, you are not going to believe what just happened stories. And so as I started telling people these stories, their jaws would drop and they're like, that didn't really happen to you. I'm like, oh, hell, it happened. And not only did it happen, this happened, and we'd go on these stories, and they would just go one after another. Soon we'd be talking for like a couple hours over drinks. They're like, you need to write a book or a blog or something. So I had a sugar baby that actually turned into a 2.5-year relationship. We talked about getting married. We were actually in pre-marriage counseling, and it was working out really well. But anyway, it ended. So she started a podcast. And then she invited me on her podcast after we kind of made up a little bit. And she says, what are you going to talk about? And I said, I think I have an idea. So I went home. I didn't tell her what it was. I went home and processed it. I had a personal assistant who was a sugar baby of mine at the time. And she was also my personal assistant working for me. And I said, hey, I think I have a great idea for a podcast. We need a logo. We need an intro. We need an outro. Let's find a studio, because here's my outlet to not only talk about these crazy stories that I've been through, but also to talk about the amazing people like Lilly over here that I've met, and the most amazing friends and quality people in my life right now I met through sugar dating. And through that process, we've been able to coach people. We've been able to help them with their profiles. We've been able to help them narrow in on what they're looking for. The spectrum is very wide. I mean, unfortunately, people like to equate a sugar baby as, oh, that's just code for prostitution. Well, there's a huge difference. And no, it's not code for prostitution. And here's the reasons why. And so we go through all that in our podcast. Is there prostitution going on in that world? Absolutely. It's going on in Tinder and Bumble and any Match, any of those. But then I found that on the other end of the spectrum, there's people that they weren't here for the money. They just wanted to find an older, wealthier, successful gentleman to eventually date, marry, fall in love with. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that spectrum is so large. We have an endless number of topics that we can talk about. So we've been doing the podcast for about 3.5 years. It's called Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, and we record in Old Town Scottsdale, which Arizona State University is the #1 sugar baby university in the world.
Really?
As you can imagine. It's just chock full of beautiful women who need help with tuition and other things, like just looking for an older, wealthier gentleman to date. Scottsdale, Arizona is a mecca for sugar daddies. And then Arizona is just a great place to be if you're in that world. So that's the podcast in a nutshell. It's a lot of fun.
And then, Lily, what's your involvement with the podcast? And how'd you get involved? And how'd you get involved in this world and the whole thing?
Kind of similar to Marcus. I went through a divorce. I had been in a 14-year relationship with my last marriage. And I went through a divorce, and I lived in small, rural Arizona. Small town, very shallow dating pool. There was nobody I could date there. And so, kind of like Marcus, I got on the regular dating apps and started trying to find matches in the city, which would be Tucson or Phoenix area, because, I didn't want to do that there in my hometown. And I was having no luck meeting quality guys. And I got frustrated one day, and I just Googled, where can I find intelligent, high quality, chivalrous, wealthy, intelligent men?
Wait, you put all that into Google?
Yes.
That's quite a list.
Up pops seeking.com. And I'm like, let's give it a go. What do I have to lose? And so I got on there, and actually the very first person that I met was Marcus on Seeking. Now, I had been talking to several gentlemen online, but he was one of the first ones who agreed to FaceTime me because I was 3 hours from where he lived. And we kind of hit it off, and I felt comfortable enough to drive to Phoenix and meet him and go on an actual face-to-face date. And we dated a few times and then discovered that we were better off as friends than anything of a romantic nature. I say he's the male version of me and I'm the female version of him. We're sort of like Siamese twins separated at birth.
We're very similar in age, and our birthdays are like a week apart.
Yeah.
So it's...
Our personalities are so similar. But we stayed in contact. We stayed friends. And when I decided to retire from my career and move to the city, I hit him up to give me a job. And he hired me and somehow coerced me into helping him on the podcast, coming on and guesting initially and then helping him host it on down the road.
What's the #1 question you get asked on the podcast? What's the biggest question?
Gosh, we do most of the question asking.
Well, I know. We usually ask the questions, but I think one of the biggest topics is for the women, how do I find a consistent man?
That's
how do I
true.
find something consistent? Because it's exhausting going on meet and greets, talking to all these people. Like when I'm looking for a full-time or a consistent sugar baby, I'm talking to maybe 15, 20 girls. You know how hard it is to keep those conversations going and interesting and meeting all these people and weeding out, and something may look promising for the first couple dates, and then all of a sudden you find out things that you're like, whoa, I can't, we're not going to go that direction, so I'm going to end it here. Like maybe they have a little alcohol problem or drug problem or just, time. I've had girls who just could not show up on time, which were like 30 minutes to an hour and a half late every single time. I'm not going to deal with that. My time is too precious. I have little of it. So you just find out things, and it's an exhausting process. So I think that's one of the biggest topics and problems in whether it's dating or sugar dating is consistency. Now, the girls really need it too, because a lot of them start planning their life and their bills and their finances over the money, the financial help that the men are giving them. And if it's not consistent, then it's very difficult for them to do that.
How do you discern between it being transactional and emotional with a relationship?
Well, what we like to say is everything is transactional. Whether you're married, my whole marriage was transactional. So
To some extent.
yeah,
There's different types of currencies.
yeah, absolutely. What happens in sugar dating, though, is it kind of starts out as transactional in a different way than like prostitution. Prostitution is basically an exchange of money for a sexual service, and it can be anonymous and usually just short one time or, they're gone. Sugar dating or sugar babies is a much more, it can get emotional and it gets a lot deeper. And a lot of times it doesn't even include sexual services or anything sexual. I've heard statistics, and I'm not sure how accurate they are, but people have presented me with statistics that up to 40% of sugar babies have zero sexual relations with their sugar daddies. Now, I find that hard to believe. My personal experience, though, I've probably had 20 to 25% of the women that I've dated, there was no sex involved. So I can kind of believe that. And then what happens is it's such a a no pressure type of a situation where, hey, let's go out, whatever we're doing, dinner, comedy show, a festival, concert, even traveling. At the end of the date or the experience, you go home, you go your way, I go mine. And if we enjoyed each other, let's do it again. And then again and again. Now, there's women that I have dated. There's no way I'm going to have a relationship with them. It's not going to work. But I'll still go out with them, enjoy life. Like I can handle, it's funny because Alejandra and I have been dating for 2.5 years, and I met her through the sugar dating site. And now we've actually gone through some phases where we were open, exclusive, a traditional relationship, back to kind of being open. And there's some reasons for it. We can get into that later if we want. But she's like, why do you still go out with that girl? She's kind of crazy. Like she starts bothering you after a few hours. Why do you continue seeing her? I'm like, yeah, but I enjoy her for those couple hours. I enjoy people. I enjoy the experience. It doesn't mean we have to get married. It doesn't mean we have to be in a long-term relationship. We can enjoy life. And there's things that I like to do that maybe you don't like to do that she loves to do. We can go experience those together and have a great time and create a lot of great memories. It doesn't have to be something that can I eventually introduce this girl to my parents or my friends or to my social network? Is she boyfriend or girlfriend material? Those pressures aren't on there initially. And so what happens, though, is if you enjoy somebody long enough and you say, hey, let's do it again and again and again, all of a sudden it starts forming into a traditional relationship and organically grows. And I think that's why, we can get into this, we're seeing more marriages and long-term relationships coming out of sugar dating than I ever saw on those swiping apps.
So, Lily, when you got into the sugar baby,
dating lifestyle.
When you got into the sugar dating lifestyle, were you looking for Mr. Right or for Mr. Right now?
I was looking ultimately for Mr. Right. I was looking for my person. I was looking for that quality connection. And I figured it could take some time to find him if he's even out there. And so I thought, you know what? In the meantime, I'm just going to have fun with Mr. Right Now or several Mr. Right Nows. And hopefully I'll find my person. And if I don't, well, I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
And being spoiled and taking on wonderful experiences and making good friends. Most of the men that I dated from the onset of the sugar dating lifestyle, I'm still friends with to this day. We stay in contact, just as friends.
And we're finding that. It happens so many times. You don't have that hard breakup where I hate you, and you never talk to each other again. I can't tell you how many people I've met through sugar dating that I'm still really good friends with today. I can message them, haven't talked to them in years, and they'll answer, and they'll like, oh my God, how are you doing? And we may even go out, have a drink, talk about things, go to do something fun. It's such a nice feeling to create this network of of so many good friends.
I was going to ask, and this is for both of you, was there a moment in your sugar dating journey that profoundly changed your outlook on relationships?
I think once I finally met and I'm going to use air quotes, sugar daddy that I'm with now, because we've been together almost 2 years. We are exclusive. We don't necessarily consider it a sugar baby, sugar daddy relationship. But, at the end of the day, it is. He pays all the bills and I contribute to the household as well. Where was I going with this? What was the original question?
How along your sugar dating journey, along your sugar dating journey, how did it profoundly change your outlook on relationships?
I think it changed it in that I realized that I'm finally being treated the way I should have always been treated in previous relationships. And it's just such a wonderful feeling. I've never felt like I just had somebody who had my back, would take care of all of my needs. I literally have no worries. And just like I've been sick recently, and he's just up making me coffee and going and getting me medication and rubbing my feet. And I would have never met him or found him had I not entered this lifestyle.
Are you a foot person?
Yeah.
Are you a foot person?
I like feet, yeah.
Oh, I can't.
No.
I can't. And the whole thing with like feet pics and all
there's
that,
specialized sites for that.
I think it's fucking gross.
I don't like other
can't.
people's feet.
No.
I don't like my feet. I think if give me 2 pegs, I'll be a pirate every fucking Halloween. Like, just come on. I just can't. That to me is just like, and there's people out there that love
One of the
feet.
best gifts I ever got for my birthday was a girlfriend traditional relationship 30 years ago. She came to my house, put together a whole bath, a whole tub of water and gave me the best foot massage and
You were in heaven.
Cleanse it.
Yeah.
It was
in heaven,
unbelievable,
right?
So you don't have a foot fetish per se, but you like to be pampered.
But I don't mind rubbing their feet either, like reciprocating that.
Yeah?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
I just
But
think
for you, it does?
I love to
gross,
be
man.
pampered.
Now again, if my wife isn't a foot person, I don't think she is, but if she asked me, like, I'd give her a foot massage in a second, like, of course. But to me, like, I had a story. This is 30 years ago. I was on vacation with a bunch of friends in Bermuda, and hooked up with a girl there, and we go back to my hotel room, and she starts going down on me, and I'm like, awesome. She kept going past where I thought she'd stop and went to my feet. And I'm dating myself. I was wearing Sebaco top siders, those dock siders, and no socks on. And she started sucking on my toe.
Oh, gross.
I turned on the lamp on the side on the nightstand. And I'm like, fuck is up with you, lady? But she was in heaven.
Yeah.
In heaven, give me a toe job. Ew.
There are a lot more men, I
haven't
think, who
experienced
have a
that.
foot fetish than women.
Ew.
I definitely don't have one, but I do like a really sensual foot massage.
And a foot massage, I could see that as a way to connect with your partner.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it. My feet are too ticklish. Again, I'm just not a foot person. But if my wife said that, 100%. Brandy, I'll rub your fucking feet.
Especially after we've been wearing heels all day or something.
Yes.
It's so wonderful.
Yeah, well, and it's a way to, I think, appreciate your woman. Because, you become more sympathetic to women as you get older because heels suck for a woman. Heels suck.
They
to
do.
walk in heels are fucking awful.
It's misery.
It's a great way to appreciate your woman to go, I love you. I'm so sorry. Thank you for being in pain for me. And let me clean and rub your feet. But I'm going to dip that shit in rubbing alcohol ahead of time. We're going to
Yeah, there you go.
The whole goddamn thing. This is a good one. How would you navigate the societal stigmas associated with sugar dating, and what misconceptions would you like to dispel?
We talk about that on a daily basis because society pictures a sugar daddy as an old, creepy man paying some 21-year-old for sex. And does that happen? Yes, it does. But we said there's a spectrum. And that is not what we're finding is happening at all in the majority of sugar relationships. Unfortunately, what we're finding is a lot of these men just want love and companionship and somebody to talk to. I've read where prostitutes will say, the man will pick me up, he'll take me in the hotel room, and he just wants to talk for 30 minutes. See, that's a need that men have. Is they're not even actually wanting anything sexual. They need that companionship, and we're finding that that's a big part of sugar dating. So that's a huge misconception that we talk about all the time. The other thing is that the misconception that men have to pay to have a woman interested in them. Well, I was willing to do it. I don't have to, but I sure am getting a lot more dates by dangling that carrot out there, that financial aspect. Yeah. Sugar dating is dating. It's just with a financial component. Now, if you're a celebrity, if you're a rock star, if you're a football player, an NFL player, or whatever, you've got women swarming to you. And the reason is because they're wealthy and successful.
Fame.
Girls are attracted to success, and they have their choice, and you're always going to see them 99% of the time with a younger, more beautiful woman than average, because they have their choice and they can choose from that. Well, where are ordinary guys like me going to have that opportunity?
Amen, brother. By the way,
Right?
I'm 55, and picking up what you're putting down, man. I think that. Okay, well, I'm going to shelve that one thought for a second. What type of investment, if somebody is a sugar daddy or someone is, let's say this, if someone's older and they're looking to jump into the sugar dating lifestyle, what type of budget should they have?
It ain't cheap, my friend.
What type of budget should they have to invest into a sugar dating relationship with a younger woman?
Yeah, I mean, again, that number can be all over the board. I can try to give you some specifics from the data that we've collected, because I've interviewed hundreds of sugar daddies, hundreds of sugar babies. We actually had a girl doing research. We had it on our site for a while who did a survey, and they asked all these questions too. So we've got data. Wealth, there are levels of wealth. And I'm considered wealthy to some. I'm also considered pocket change to some. So it's all a matter of what is in your budget. My budget is for dating is about, personally, it's probably about $5,000 to $8,000 a month. Now that's a big nut for me, and it does take a toll. I've added it up.
No pun intended.
Yeah,
I had to say that. Thank you.
I've added it up. Matter of fact, we have a sugar daddy that's a huge fan of the show. His name's Dr. Charles, and it is his real name. He's out of San Diego. And he's fully open about it.
He's a cosmetic surgeon.
A lot of fun. And we were talking one day saying, how much have you spent on sugar dating? And he said it was multi-millions of dollars.
It's so
multi-millions of dollars. I've spent, personally, it's got to be getting close to $1 million over the last 8 years.
What do you think the range is for a sugar daddy to get into the sugar dating lifestyle monthly?
We have another sugar daddy who he's not wealthy, but he has some disposable income. Matter of fact, we've interviewed him multiple times on the show. His name's Sugar Daddy Dwayne. He's a lot of fun. He doesn't have a lot of assets. He doesn't have a lot to offer, but he has a budget that he has for dating, and he's more than willing to offer it to women in the sugar dating lifestyle. And I would say his budget is between like $2,000 to $4,000 a month. Yeah. Much less than that, it's going to be hard to attract in, probably the girl that you're wanting to go out with.
So minimum, you're looking at $2,000 a month to get into this.
$2,000 a month at minimum, yeah.
And I'm doing this. I break the third wall. To get into this lifestyle, it's not cheap.
No,
like Marcus is saying, and so you're looking anywhere from $2,000 to $200,000 a month, depending on the class of woman you're looking to attract. Right?
Yeah, I've interviewed sugar daddies who are spending $50,000 a month. Wow. Absolutely. I mean, Dr. Charles told me he was spending that at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the range men have spent on you, Lily?
Oh, gosh, it's all over the board. So what's typical for, we'll call it compensation or gifting. What's typical initially when you first start dating a sugar daddy is what's called PPM. And that stands for pay per meet or pay per play, just however you want to phrase it or think of it. Now, pay per meet doesn't mean that you're getting together and having sex. It could just mean a gentleman would like to go to a nice dinner and have a beautiful woman on his arm and go to an event, or it might actually escalate to intimacy. There's no expectation of that for the most part. But typically the bottom amount when I first started sugar dating a couple of years ago was like $300 or $400. And now the bottom amount is $500 plus, probably closer to $800 to $1,000 if you're doing PPM.
And that's per
I'm
meet.
going to
Per date?
compensate
Yeah, per
you
date.
for this date, and this is what you're going to get every time we go out on a date.
Is intimacy expected, or is it something that needs to be, well, you know what? It's that kind of a let's play it by ear and see what happens thing.
That's the way it should be. Some men do expect it, and some men are very open about that, is what I've experienced. But for the most part, if it's a true gentleman, he's not expecting that. He'll welcome it if it happens and there's mutual escalation, and it's a good experience for both of you. But I don't think most men are not absolutely expecting it to happen.
I'm assuming, but I would think that older guys more than likely have their act together, and that there's a level of confidence there. There's a level of financial security there, so that they're okay, because in business dealings, they're setting expectations all the time. And so it's kind of the same thing. Not that this is transactional, but it kind of is. And so you're going to set the expectation before we went out. It's, hey, it's going to be $850. I'm going to meet you at In-N-Out Burger at, somewhere nicer than In-N-Out Burger, but
Yeah.
I'm being facetious. But, we're going to meet at wherever, Jimmy's Linguini Shack, and, I'll be in booth number 2, and, intimacy is something that if there's an attraction there, yes, but I'm not going to promise that. But I will promise you that it seems like we're getting along. We've FaceTimed. I've seen you're not an ogre. Sir, it's okay. We can get together, and then we'll kind of play it by ear. Is that kind of how it's done?
To a point, you'll be surprised at how often financial part is not discussed. And you literally show up on a date, and they're just hoping that it's going to go well, and that the gentleman will treat them nice financially. Alejandra and I never discussed an amount up front. I would say some girls are more direct, and they're like, hey, this is what I expect, or are you going to help me out without saying a number? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I understand how the game works. The way I phrase my messages initially when I'm trying to meet somebody is like, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. I'm somewhat of a sapiosexual, so I do enjoy a very good conversation over drinks. And then I like doing things. I like having experiences like dinners and concerts and festivals. I'm a red butt. I say I love sex as much as anybody, but it's not expected on the first date. So if it goes there, great. If it doesn't, I'm fine with that. We'll play. And that puts the women at ease, because they know they know exactly where I stand, and I seem to have a little bit more success than the average guy getting girls to the meet and greet. Sometimes it leads to intimacy on the first date. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 days. Sometimes it never happens. So every situation is unique. Every girl and guy is looking for unique things, and you kind of got to play it. You try to see where you mesh on that. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's just you kiss a lot of frogs is what Lily likes to say.
Well, it's a numbers game, as with anything else. And I think that you just, and this is in dating in general, I think that you go on a date with somebody, and if it goes well, awesome, you go on another one. If it doesn't, you learn from that experience to say, okay, these are the red flags that happen, that next time you kind of build up your wall a little bit. Not in a bad way, but it's to protect your heart.
Oh, yes. I always say, don't get into this if you're not willing to protect your heart, and if you're not willing to kiss a lot of frogs trying to find your Prince Charming.
Has there ever been a time, Lily, where your personal ethics or morals have been challenged in the sugar dating lifestyle?
I'm going to say yes, because I've had gentlemen who honestly didn't want to take me on dates. They just wanted me to host and them to come over, and they wanted to talk and they wanted to get to know me. But essentially, they just wanted to bang and bounce, So, yeah.
Bang and bounce.
Bang and bounce. And so that was kind of hard for me. I didn't love.
No pun intended.
Yeah,
Thank you. I had to. I'm sorry.
And
Naughty.
generally, that would be men that you would discover either they were married, so they couldn't be out in the open, or there was one gentleman I called, and he had a girlfriend, loved her to death, but literally just wanted to drive his 4x4 truck to my house, come in, maybe have a beverage, have a little conversation, catch up on each other's lives, and then get naked. So that part I struggled with a little bit because, his girlfriend did not know that he was getting some action on the side.
Did you ever do that and watch Rocky? Because he's the true. That was on his fight mode as he went out. Rocky
but
1 would be good.
We should have.
Sorry, I have to bring levity into this.
So yeah,
it's crazy.
there were some times when I felt like some of my moral boundaries were crossed. Now, I didn't necessarily feel like I was at fault in that situation. I feel like he was at fault because he was the one being deceptive.
Okay. I want to talk for a second about Scottsdale because a clip that I have that went viral, my friend Brennan Bowski came in, and he's an ultra high net worth guy. And he's in his early 30s. And he said the hottest women in the country are in Scottsdale. And
It's true.
And he threw shade on Miami. He threw shade on LA. It was hilarious. And it went bananas because, and from a content creator standpoint, it was awesome because he had an opinion, was vulnerable, and exposed himself, which I loved. He was cool doing it, was consensual, but he was also location specific. And 80% of the people went, hell yeah. Then other ones were like, you're nuts. You've never been to Bogota. I'm like, give me a break. I mean, we're talking about the continental United States, first of all. But also it was a lot of people there have had work done. Well, that's okay. It's personal preference. I that's okay if someone's had work done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If somebody wanted to look for and find a sugar baby in Scottsdale, is there somewhere specific they could go?
Oh, it's really funny because we go to certain bars and certain restaurants, and you look around, and we'll go have dinner. We'll do a double date or something, and we're like, sugar daddy, sugar baby, couples, and you can pick them out as their very easiest spot. There's definitely some spots. There's a
Lots
bar.
of nice restaurants.
Huh?
Lots of nice
Okay.
restaurants.
Lots of nice restaurants.
The Beverly.
Yeah, the
I was gonna-
Beverly is a bar with.
That's a good spot.
I was going to rephrase specifically because this is my audience wants to know this stuff.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Specifically name locations in Scottsdale where a sugar daddy has a high chance of meeting a sugar baby.
Well, the Beverly Bar in Old Town Scottsdale is probably the number one place. Their drinks even have sugar baby, sugar daddy references to those in the names. It's pretty amazing. But
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah.
Well,
there's sexual
yeah.
connotation there.
with almost every drink, you can go sit at that bar, and there'll just be single women all over the
The
place.
W
young single
Hotel.
women. Yeah,
That's a great place. I've met sugar daddies. We call it meeting sugar daddies in the wild.
yeah,
I've met sugar daddies in the wild.
yeah.
At
The Global Ambassador
Global
now
Ambassador.
is a hot spot. There's quite
Arizona
a few.
88.
No,
One girl said she meets a lot of
Well, maybe.
she meets sugar daddies at
Yeah.
Arizona 88.
yeah.
I've never been to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of well-known spots where you can meet. I know the W Hotel is a very hot,
That is.
and it's right next to all the clubs in Old Town Scottsdale. So
Hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, again, I'm always trying to think of different ways to build a business, but to build your personal, like, for lack of a better term, portfolio, if you want to meet a sugar baby, and what if you don't want to go on seeking.com and you actually want to go out and meet somebody and talk to them probably at a bar, right?
Yeah.
Or lounge and get a little dressed up and you put the Rolex on or whatever. And so, because again, I think, all right, what does a woman, what does a sugar baby look for in a sugar daddy if she's meeting him at a bar? Is it, I was like, a watch and shoes was something I was always told is what they look at.
Yeah. So I'm not that talented at spotting expensive clothing or expensive jewelry or expensive shoes. But so many of the sugar babies that we've interviewed, they can just zone in on that and they just gravitate toward those men. Like they'll strike up a conversation with them. We have girlfriends in this lifestyle who never get on any of the apps, the sugar baby, sugar daddy apps. They just know what to look for out there in the wild.
I think that's a more difficult and time-consuming method, though. For me,
Agreed.
I like
Marcus
having
likes
a
to use his
roster.
cheat code.
Yeah.
Talk about your cheat code.
Well, the cheat.
Marcus,
Yeah.
what's your cheat code?
Well, I mean, the cheat code is the money, right? The dangling the carrot over. Hey, there's going to be something in it for you if you'll go out with me. I just wanted people to give me an opportunity. I knew I could talk with my date if I could just get them there. I knew, I wasn't really worried about them liking me or not liking me. I was pretty confident that the most would like me. It's surprising though, like people are like, oh, you're so personable. Like it's surprising how many people I can't get past that wall and they just give me a look like, they're not attracted to me at all, which is fine. You're not 100% attracted to people. So there's plenty of people I meet. I'm like, oh God, the worst date ever, right? And those are usually the one-sided conversations where you're just asking questions and they're giving you one-word answers.
It's the worst.
And those are the worst. And
That's
so
the
you
worst.
just move on.
I'd rather go to the dentist.
Yeah.
But that's, I mean, back when I was single, like that was the most painful thing ever. What's the number one best piece of advice you could give somebody that's looking to enter the sugar dating lifestyle?
Men or women?
Both.
See, it's different. Yeah, it's different for.
Yeah.
So for men, my number one thing was do not put pressure on that relationship. You're paying to be your authentic self. Be you. Like you're compensating them so you can be you. Don't act like somebody that you're not.
Don't cover and smother.
And then
I got that quote off of Later Daters.
Oh, you know what that is? It's a new show on Netflix. Michelle Obama produced it. It's about older people trying to date. It's very entertaining. So, yeah.
Also, for both men and women, another quote from there, be interested, not interesting. So don't dominate the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Be interested in the person that you're on the meet and greet with as well.
That's
Ask them questions. And
That's a great one for podcasting.
Absolutely.
Just sit back and ask and then.
Yeah.
definitely.
So I love that. Be interested, not interesting.
Yes.
Because I think especially younger girls are so, I mean, I'm generalizing, but are so self-consumed with beauty and looks.
Yes.
Okay, so my wife got me hooked on Love is Blind. The show on
Okay.
Netflix, right?
Yes.
And we were in upstate New York to see my dad a couple of weeks ago, and I think we're flying back, and I'm like, what the hell are you watching? So now she's got me on, we just got done with the finale. The reunion show was last night. Oh my God. And I'm like, I'm not a reality show guy. So she's dying that I'm watching this shit with her. And I'm watching, because I watch People. And I'm watching this reunion show. Is all these, and they're all kids. They're all, 20s, early 30s. But they're all like fixing their hair, and the guys are fixing their ties and their jackets and making sure there's no creases in anything. And I'm like, they're so self-consumed with how they
Yes.
look instead of here and here.
Agreed. And I think that's the beauty of dating when you're older is you've learned some lessons about what's more important and how to connect, which ties into what you said about being sapiosexual. For a lot of people, there is nothing sexier than a woman or a man who can hold an intelligent conversation. Right?
There's nothing sexier than a woman that can hold a conversation and that can make me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
That's big.
Yes.
That's how I met my wife on Bumble travel mode.
Oh, yes.
She was in Tampa and I was here.
Yeah.
And we dated long distance for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I moved her daughter, her dog, and cat out here in August. And we got married in December. And
That's amazing.
Thank you. And she's my best friend. And she's hot as hell. She's funnier than
is
shit.
hot as hell.
She's a smoke show. Thank you.
We
She's
met her earlier.
fucking
She's
smoke
a
show, man.
gorgeous redhead.
And is like, I'm 55. She's 44. Good.
Yeah.
Age appropriate.
Happy, age appropriate. I tell
Absolutely.
people there's a 4 in there in the right place.
Yes.
So I'm good. But also, I when I was single, I dated younger girls for a while and went there, especially in Vegas. Hell yeah, it's like going to the buffet. You're gonna try a little bit of this, and try a little bit of this, and try a little bit of this, and see what works. But I think that when you go down this road, it's about taking life experiences, but also it's about your maturity level. And especially for a sugar baby, a lot of them who are younger, because these girls, a lot of them are in their 20s. Oh, you said like college girls. You said it's number one place is ASU?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, holy shit.
But
Yeah.
even though ASU is the number one sugar baby capital, what we're finding, though, is the girls that are having the most success as sugar babies are in their 30s and 40s, even in their 50s.
And 50s.
That's awesome.
Because-
Which I love that, by the way.
because
I love
of
that.
the age appropriate. Alejandra's wonderful, absolutely beautiful. She's turning 28 in a couple weeks. I'm 56. I get looks. I took her to a car dealership to buy a car. First thing the salesman says, so I assume this is your daughter.
You should have started making out with her.
Oh, she did. She grabbed onto him and gave him a big kiss.
Yeah, we
awesome.
get this quite a
I
bit.
love that. I love that.
When I went on dates with Lily, they just looked at her as an absolutely gorgeous, age-appropriate woman on my arm. Right? So
Yeah.
we're finding, we get questions from emails and messages from people all the time. Hey, I'm 44. Should I even bother? Am I too old?
Absolutely bother.
Yeah, absolutely
That's how I
bother.
found my person.
The most successful guys are 40s, 50s, and 60s, 70s. They're looking for age. They don't want to take a 21-year-old to an event.
It's, and I guess, I assume it's nationwide. I'm kind of in a bubble here in Vegas.
Worldwide.
Okay, it's worldwide.
Yes.
Because for me, it's a question of, yeah, you want to be happy, but also it's optics and optics of who you are. And if you're going out, if I'm 55, and if I'm going out with a smoke show who's 24, but going out to like work events or out with clients and all that, there's judgment there.
Absolutely,
I'm
there's
sorry,
judgment.
but there just is, right?
100%.
There is judgment.
So if you're with somebody who's more age appropriate, who's a smoke show, and even if it is somewhat of a sugar, relationship, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Who
Which is
cares, man?
kind of the dynamic that I have with my current boyfriend
I love
is we just have an 8-year age difference. And I have had a little work done and I do try to take care of myself. So he's like, even though we're only 8 years apart, people still think I'm drastically older than you. I'm like, well, I don't know, but
But it also,
they
guys,
at least have to guess. It's not as obvious as like Marcus and Alejandra, for example.
Yeah.
He's in his mid 50s. She's in her late 20s. And he got a really ugly phone call one day.
Oh, I did.
in
I
the
had an
recent
anonymous
past.
voicemail that says, the only reason she is with you is for your money, and she's old. She's young enough to be your daughter. And I looked, and we all listened to this voicemail together. I actually got it during a podcast while I was
said-
recording.
You're disgusting.
You're disgusting. And I'm like, well, all of those things are true. She was only with me for my money, and she is young enough to be my daughter, but things grew. I lured her in by being a successful entrepreneur and being successful in my business and my craft.
Use that cheat code.
That's my cheat code. But then she actually started really liking me, and I really like her. And then all of a sudden we find out we're pretty compatible. Even though you're in your 20s, I'm learning a lot from you. You're
Yeah.
learning a lot from me. We're having a great time. Who cares what everybody else says?
Yeah, she's one of those rare 20-something-year-old women who is very grounded, very focused, very driven, very goal-oriented, great conversationalist, so sweet, kind, and caring that honestly, you guys aren't far apart on the spectrum of intelligence level or maturity.
Because I revert to a 12-year-old boy very often.
Now, there are
I'm
times
pretty juvenile
where
sometimes.
we're having conversations and we'll talk about something from our era. And she's like, what are you guys even talking about? It's just funny.
Well, you sent a text that said Trucker's going to go down and play roulette and try to win Brewster's Millions.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what is that?
So what is Brewster's Millions?
you need to have a Richard Pryor Film Festival.
Right.
Is what you've got to do.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the role of communication in a sugar dating relationship. How powerful is that, and how critical is that?
Well, it's the most open and honest communication I've ever been a part of, because you can be. Like I said, we're paying to be our authentic self, and the sugar babies are very open and honest also, because they understand the role of the girlfriend experience that they bring initially. And so they're not worried about offending you. They're not worried. Now, sometimes they do bite their tongue a little bit because they don't want that financial part to end, but they can't hide it forever. Like Lily had been offered millions of dollars to, cohabitate with a gentleman for a few years.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just can't.
He
Like,
said,
yeah.
I had told him that I kind of felt like our age gap was too significant because he was in his late 70s. I was in my early 50s. And I felt like when we were out on dates, it was like I was on a date with my grandfather. And so it just was awkward. I didn't like that feeling. And so I told him, I'm thinking, we should both kind of move on, go our separate ways. And he thought about that and he gave me a phone call one day and he said, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "Well, I am now. What's up?" And he said, "I really would like you to give me a chance. I really would like to be in an exclusive relationship with you. I would love to be your boyfriend. I will give you $2.5 million and all of my stocks and bonds when I pass and my condominium in Los Sendas, which is an affluent area in Arizona, in Mesa, outside of Mesa, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you will sign a contract," and he said, "We'll go to my attorney, we'll drop a contract if you will cohabitate with me for 5 years." I was like, I cannot do that. I need to be happy. I need to feel fulfilled. I need to be with somebody that I'm attracted to, that I don't feel awkward when I'm out in public. Thank you for the offer, but I'm not your girl. Yeah. So,
Good for you.
yeah, I just couldn't.
Good for you for, to show that you have, standards.
Boundaries and standards.
Yeah.
And,
Because it's what? So 2.5 for 5 years? It's $500,000. That's not a lot.
yeah.
That's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
When you're younger, you're like, ugh, but that's not a lot of money.
And plus, I was like, you have children. When you pass, they're going to want an inheritance. Yeah. And he said, "Oh, no. All my children are independently wealthy. I don't need to leave them anything. I'll leave everything to you." I was like, still no. I'm sorry. I can't.
Still no.
I cannot do it.
Good for you that's a great follow-up. by the
But
way.
here's the great thing. They're still friends
Yeah, we're still
to
friends.
this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
And
didn't
he
end
actually
badly.
found a girlfriend who is age appropriate. They bought a yacht together, sailed the world for a while, and yeah, so he's happy. He just needed to find. I wouldn't have made him happy because if I'm not happy, I'm not going to be my best self, and I'm not going to be able to make someone else happy.
This is a good one. What are some common pitfalls or red flags you've learned to recognize in the sugar dating scene?
So many.
Yeah,
If
that's
someone moves too quickly
Yeah.
in the initial part of your conversation toward sexual stuff or sending dick pics, that's a huge red flag. Or if they try to smother you and own you too quickly, because I've had that happen too. Major red flag.
my original co-host. She met a gentleman who owned a very trendy restaurant in Scottsdale. It's one of the sugar daddy places that you would find. But
Name
it's
it.
very popular. No, I can't because
You can't because it'll give him away.
Yeah, it'll give him away. He had a pregnant girlfriend. He met my co-host. They went on 2 dates, and he's professing his love for her. So my co-host and I were in an open relationship. She was the very first person I've ever been in an open relationship with. She kind of the one who introduced me to that world, and I started liking it. I didn't think I would in the beginning because I had feelings for her, but then I would actually help her dress for dates, give her advice on texts she was getting from men, and she's like, "Can you believe? Look what he just said to me." That's like Lily said. It's the smothering and it's the pressure from the get-go that these men put on the girls because they are gorgeous and the girls are giving them an amazing experience, and it causes the men to falsely read that as, "Holy cow, I'm in love with this girl and she's in love with me," when it really they're doing a really good girlfriend experience. They're playing a role. And so now that role can change into a traditional relationship, but not in the beginning. And men often, I guess they don't understand that, or it gets too cloudy for them, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm in love with this girl. She's stunning. She's got a great personality. The sex was amazing." Well, she's playing a role. You've been on 2 dates with her. It takes 4 to 6 months to even really get down to know somebody, and that's dating them 3, 4, 5 times a week.
And I think if somebody, a guy especially, if you have lower self-esteem, lower self-confidence, you'll tend to over-romanticize a situation.
Yes.
Exactly.
I can think of so many examples of sugar daddies who have done and are currently doing that. I'm not going to call them out.
I know what you're thinking.
Let's say Mr. X.
Oh, yeah, just Mr. X. Okay, Mr. X has a tendency to meet these younger, beautiful women and become immediately smitten, not protect his heart, fall head over heels and love bomb them. And it,
usually crashes and burns pretty
Yeah,
quickly.
then he
We've
ends up
watched it happen
heartbroken.
over and over. And from the outside looking in, it's easy to see, but when you're in the middle of it as a man, it's tough. You get, you get enamored by the whole situation. And that's what you're wanting. You're wanting that so badly.
To me, it's fascinating because if you have accumulated enough wealth to afford a $5,000 to $20,000 relationship with someone, you should be pretty confident. Like you've made good moves. There's some luck involved to success, but you've made some good moves.
Yeah.
And align yourself with good people and judged people well who are like on your team that you work with. So for you to go ahead and just love bomb somebody
right out the door.
right out the
gate.
from the get-go
Yes.
is like, what the hell?
Well, even though these men have become successful in what they've done or they've stumbled into wealth or whatever, it doesn't mean that they're emotionally mature. And we find that so often, and that's part of our coaching is to help them through these situations. One piece of advice that I give all the time, and it helped me during a really, really tough breakup, was type your emotions, what you're feeling right now, into YouTube and see what pops up. Ooh. It's absolutely amazing. There's psychotherapists, relationship coaches, and they're 8 to 10 minute videos, and they'll tell you, you're feeling this because of this, and this is what you should do. Now, not every one of them are exactly the same, but after you watch about 3 or 4 videos, you're like, I get it. Okay, now I understand why I'm feeling this. I understand why she's feeling this. I understand why she ghosted me and now I understand what I'm supposed to do when she ghosts me. I'm not supposed to like, hey, why are you ghosting me? You need to answer, blah, blah, blah. You got to let them have time. And men don't understand these principles. But the best resource on earth, I think, right now is YouTube. All of the information that is in there about relationships is amazing. And I learned more than I ever thought I would. I had a bad situation happen to me, what I thought was a bad situation, the big breakup. And it turned out to be one of the best things in my life because I was able to take that moment, become a better version of myself. So since I've gone through this, I love helping and coaching other men and women through these processes. There's one story that I always share with people. You may have heard about the parable of the Chinese farmer. Alan Watts does a little 1-minute rendition of it on YouTube, and you can look it up. But the premise is the horse ran away, the farmer's horse ran away, and the neighbors and friends were like, oh, I'm sorry, what a bad thing happened to you. Well, the next day, the horse came back with 7 wild stallions. So all of the friends and neighbors were like, oh my God, what a great thing. You're so fortunate. And the Chinese farmer's like, well, I don't know. Well, the next day his son was riding one of the horses and he fell off and he broke his leg. So it seemed like such a bad thing. Everybody's like, oh, I'm so sorry. What a bad thing happened. Chinese farmers were like, well, we'll see. I don't know. And then the next day the army came to draft the son and they rejected him because he had a broken leg. And so they're all like, oh my God, what a good thing. Your son didn't have to go to the army. The premise is you never really know when a bad thing is actually the best thing for you. And when you look at the universe and it's very complex, I start looking at bad situations. Like I lost a job in 2004. I had a good job. I had health insurance. I was buying rental properties. I was in the middle of refinancing. I lost my job. I got let go. And my family and friends were like, I'm so sorry to hear that. I lost my health insurance. It was bad. Well, I got my real estate license, did a crash course, 2 weeks, got it, bought a home, fixed it up, flipped it, made $35,000 in 6 weeks, and I did it 10 more times the next year. And I'm like, thank you for firing me. That was the best. That was life-changing. So now I look at situations so much different, and we teach that on our show. We don't just talk about sugar relationships. We try to expand it on life and how to become a better version of yourself in life, how to get fit, how to eat healthy, because you've made all this money. You don't want to go at 55. You want to enjoy and reap the reward of the fruits of your labor.
If someone is older, they're an older guy, and they're looking for a sugar relationship, and they live in a sparsely populated area of the country, and they can travel anywhere and everywhere, what cities would you recommend they visit?
Well, if they can travel anywhere, then their budget is pretty good. I'm going to say the larger cities obviously have the bigger the selection, but LA is going to be more expensive. New York is going to be more expensive. Miami, we're hearing sugar babies saying, "Oh, I get $10,000 a month from my sugar daddy." We're not seeing that in Scottsdale. We're seeing more ranges between like $4,000 and $8,000. Now, granted, there's fringes. There's people making $20,000 a month from their sugar daddies or whatever. Like we had dinner with a girl here in Vegas, and she said she met a guy and he gave her $20,000 the first day they met. Now, that's not normal. But we are hearing and seeing stories like that. Matter of fact, I met another girl here in Vegas. She met a sugar daddy, went on 2 dates, and at the end of the week, he bought her a condo in downtown, down on Fremont Street. And I've actually been to the condo. It's real. Like she wasn't just bullshitting me.
It's hilarious.
It's in her name. It's absolutely nuts.
This is a crazy question. What will the Trump administration effect be on sugar relationships?
He's the ultimate sugar daddy.
Absolutely, he's the ultimate sugar
Well,
daddy.
I mean, he's successful, and and women are drawn towards success. So,
I will say this though: you asked about red flags, and I feel like our president-elect might fall into this category. A big red flag is gentlemen who toot their own horn. If they need to tell you, I am so intelligent. I am so handsome. I am such a great communicator. I am so good at this. I'm the best dancer. That's a huge red flag. If you need to toot your own horn, then probably the opposite is true. So, I don't know. That's been my experience anyway. So,
yeah, Lily likes a more humble man.
I do.
I guess I agree with what you said, by the way, 100%. I'm registered independent, by the way. I'm middle of the road. My thing is with Trump coming into office, will what he's going to be bringing to the table in terms of, will the economy be better? Like, will your dollar go farther with Trump in office compared to if Harris was elected? So that we'll like say, if you had 10 grand a month to spend right now, given Biden, is that going to go to 11 or 12 or 13,000 with Trump in office?
Absolutely.
I think it's too difficult to say, and actually doesn't have really any bearing on
I just
anything
know
that I'm going to do
Trump
going forward.
Is so pro-business, and
I'm happy about that.
If your
obviously,
business is going to be more successful, then you're going to be able to afford more toward
That's
your
my
sugar
question.
dating budget.
That's my question.
Absolutely.
Is that do you think there's going to be more money put into the sugar, relationship market?
well, the reason that I think that there will be is because we have been taking the stigma out of this, and it's becoming more and more accepted. The reason I know it's becoming more and more accepted is because when I went on a date with a lawyer, and then I met a dentist, and then I met a PA, and I'm like, what are these people doing on this site? Well, they enjoy the company of an older, successful man, and a lot of them have very high student loan debt.
Oh,
Right?
I never thought of that.
Yeah. Where you going to find that guy on Bumble or Tinder? Where are you going to meet these people? So it's a dating up mentality. I mean, the founder of Seeking lives here in Las Vegas, and they've kind of renamed it hypergamy, which is basically dating an older, successful gentleman.
What, hypergamy?
That's the word,
the
yes.
fuck does that mean?
I just explained it to you.
Dear God, dating an older guy.
Yeah,
that's
dating
hilarious.
An older, successful man.
Okay, and
Yeah.
of course they're based out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, hilarious. Okay,
But he actually, he started the site originally because he wanted to meet sugar babies. He ended up meeting a girl, fell in love with her, and they're now married. So they've kind of changed the premise of the site to dating up or hypergamy, dating an older, successful
interesting.
person, yeah. And it could be, women too. We refer to men. There are sugar mamas. They're a little bit, they're quite rare, but it's mainly men, yeah.
Sugar mamas?
Absolutely. We've met a few.
That's
talked to a few.
That's like an albino rhinoceros.
No, it's like a
That's rare,
unicorn,
man.
yeah.
His original co-host ended up marrying a man who had been a sugar baby
Oh, that's right, yeah.
previously
Yeah,
to a wealthier woman.
yeah.
Yeah, we've encountered it. We have.
Wow.
We've
It's just very
also
rare.
encountered something even more rare, which is a woman, say of my age, who finds a sugar cub. And that means it's a wealthy man who's younger than she is, but he's still wealthy, and he has maybe, I don't know, like a MILF fetish or something. And so, yeah, we have one friend in particular
they prefer
who
older women.
has a sugar cub on her roster.
Hilarious. God bless.
Yeah.
I had, and we become good friends, Rochelle Ryan. She's an adult film star, massive audience. And she came on, and her thing is she likes being a cougar, and she dates cubs. And so I learned all about what a cub was. And I asked her, where's the best place in Vegas to go if you're a cougar? And she said Grape Street, which is over in downtown Summerlin. Now I think that clip is at like 3 million. Like it went nuts. And a friend of mine went there with his wife for dinner and DM'd me and said, went there on a Friday night. The whole place was stacked with cougars. He's like, people have seen your clip. It was hilarious.
That's funny.
So I guess there's a whole, like the whole cougar thing is that's a whole nother thing going on. I'm sure there's podcasts and websites to that, but it's crazy.
Many of those cougars are sugar mamas.
Interesting.
They like the boy toy arm candy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, again.
It's not really for me, but I can see the appeal for some
Who,
women.
who am I to judge if what you're doing is legal and safe and you're happy and it makes you feel fulfilled and loved? Okay.
Right.
Hallelujah.
Right?
We're all adults. We're not hurting anybody by finding somebody that we enjoy hanging out with.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like when I got the voicemail about Alejandra. What's it to you?
You're disgusting, sir.
Yeah. It's
hilarious.
Disgusting to you, but I'm very happy. I am living my best life. In my late 40s and 50s, I never thought I would be having so much fun.
Good for you.
Dating and living life. I remember when I got divorced, I was a little bit overweight and my hair was thinning, and I was just like, where am I going to find somebody that's going to be attracted to this? And now I did. I started working out. I shaved my head. I grew a beard, and I found out women like this.
Absolutely.
I found out that 20-year-olds love this, and I was shocked. I had no idea. So, men, don't be afraid of growing old.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
That was a lot of fun.
This has been a good time.
One thing I just want to leave is sugar dating. Even the misconception of it's older men trying to find a young girl to have sex with. It's actually a very traditional role that a sugar daddy plays by providing for his woman. When I was married, I provided for my wife. She worked because she wanted to work. I was very happy that she had a career. And I love that she was able to get that education and become a nurse. But because when I remember picking her up from clinicals and went, look, these nurses do not look happy. They look miserable. You sure you want to do this? You know what? She enjoyed doing it because she wanted to do it. She didn't have to do it. They were doing it because they had to. So that was kind of my flex as a husband, is being able to retire my wife or let her do what she wanted to do. I said, put your money in your account. I'll take care of all the bills, the cars, the vacations, everything.
Good for you. That's great.
It did make the marriage stronger in that sense. There was some other things, but it's a very traditional role. So when I got divorced and, I have a girlfriend, I'm going to help her anyway. I'm going to provide for her. Now as a sugar baby, I'm providing her. What's it to you whether what I give her or help her financially? So that's the stigma that we're trying to eliminate about sugar dating.
Do you have kids?
I didn't have any kids. No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Here's the other funny thing. That's a big dilemma that happens in sugar dating is you got younger girls going out with older guys, and many of these men have kids and don't want any more. Me personally, I'm still open to it. And there's a girl I met early on in my sugar dating life. She was 21, and she was like, look, I'm looking for love. And she ended up meeting a guy, and now she has 2 kids. He's 63 now. She's 30, and they have 2 wonderful kids. And he had never had any kids of his own. And I'm kind of in that situation where I'm still open to the idea. But a lot of times it's a problem because the girls eventually do want the kids, and the gentlemen are in their 60s or even 70s. And they're like, so that can be an issue.
We just interviewed a sugar daddy who has a significantly younger sugar baby. His children are grown and out of the house.
How old is he?
He even has grandchildren. He's
Getting closer to 70.
No,
Oh, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about McDreamy.
Oh, okay.
He is, he's a handsome man for his age. I think he's 50.
Yeah, he's 48.
48. He's
And
48.
how old's the sugar baby?
She's 26. He wants no more children. She wants children. So she doesn't want him tomorrow, and they're happy for right now. But he said, I'm realistic that this relationship might not have longevity because down the road she wants babies. But for right now, we're super happy. And he said, and I liked this quote, he said, I know if the relationship ends, I'll be okay. And she'll also be okay emotionally. So I liked that they were very realistic.
So the time that they spend together is valuable and precious and, you know, and thought about.
Yes.
It's great.
You know why the relationships will be okay for the older men now who are sugar dating? Because they don't have the scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
When I had a fiance, I was in my 20s. I had a hard time getting a date. I had a hard time getting women because they wanted to date the older guys. I was not the older guy. I hadn't done anything with my life. I didn't have any money. I wasn't successful at anything. I was just another dude. And I was having a hard time dating the girls that I wanted to date. Now, it's so easy. And I don't have that scarcity mindset. So I can get through heartbreak a little better now. Now, I don't want it to happen, obviously. But if it does happen, it doesn't just devastate you. When the girl and I broke up when I was in my 20s, it was devastating because I don't think I dated anybody for years. It was really tough. It was just tough back then. It was before the internet too. I mean, that's kind of dating myself. But this not having the scarcity mindset is big for us in our older age. And we have the resources to be able to move on. We have the resources to become a better version of myself. You can kind of look at relationships like, why did that end? Maybe it was, not children thing, but maybe it was something else. It was a personality thing. But you have the resources now easily available to deal with that, work on it, and become a better version.
I love it. You guys should do a remote of your pod at one of the places where sugar babies frequent.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And be like, go around like, hey, we have a podcast? This is what we're doing. You want to come on and talk? I think that would be awesome.
We get mixed reviews. People are like, oh, no, I'm very discreet. And others like, they just want to jump on. They want all the attention. So
I'm starting to do more now. I'll start now at least once a month doing remotes. We went, my engineer and I went, Scott went at a well-known place. I'm not going to say anything yet because it's not nailed down, but we're 90% there. It's going to be awesome. And just did one at Absinthe, which is the best show in town.
Absinthe?
Absinthe.
Yeah, I've seen it. Have you seen it? It's in that tent?
Yes, I think I have seen
it's
it.
a great show.
We shot at Absinthe with one of the strong men, Misha, who's we're good friends now. We shot in the round.
Oh, nice.
At their facility. That episode dropped a couple weeks ago.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's just doing more remotes for the pod is getting more. It's just that the numbers keep going up. So food for thought for you guys. Like maybe look at doing some remotes somewhere.
Well, what we do is we host a Sugar Palooza. And what happened was I ended up getting a suite for a concert. This is a really funny story. I decided, I was dating, I had some current sugar babies and I had some past sugar babies I was still friends with. And I got a 22-person suite. And I thought, well, these are my friends. Like, this is the only people I know, but they're all sugar babies. Like, how are they going to get along? So I invited them to my birthday concert. It was for Dua Lipa. 2022. I'm a huge fan of her. So this beautiful suite. Lily came.
I was there.
And
I drove 3 hours to come to that weekend.
You're a good friend.
Yeah.
And you'll never guess what happened.
What would you
Lily,
have predicted would happen?
Yeah, what do you think would happen? Getting all these sugar babies in one room.
Yeah.
Cat fights.
You would think.
You would think.
Yeah, like rings coming off, earrings coming off. Like
Actually, the opposite.
He even told me, because I had to drive up there, and he said, you can stay at my house, but you have to understand that this is when we were still kind of dating occasionally. You have to understand this is not, I'm inviting you up here for a date because I have all these other girls coming as well. So I just don't want you to have false expectations that I'm your date.
Sure.
Because it's my birthday party. I'm going to be mingling with everyone. But yeah, you can stay at my house. And I was like, cool. I was so excited for Dua Lipa. I did not mind. And I met some girls that I am still friends with today at that very first, we now call it Sugar Palooza. That was Sugar Palooza #1. And it was just Marcus's experiment.
And the girls got along so fabulously. They're all like-minded. They started sharing stories and this and that and asking advice, and they all exchanged numbers. And I'm like, what in the world is going on here? They loved each other more than they loved me. So
there was no drama.
Yeah.
You probably wanted some drama.
No, I didn't. I actually absolutely loved what happened. So then we tried it again for Taylor Swift. We got a suite in Glendale, invited a bunch of people, and again, another love fest. So then we opened it up to our podcast listeners to apply to come to Sugarpalooza. And we did a Ricky Martin Pitbull concert, and then we did Hootie and the Blowfish, and that was really good. Our last one was supposed to be Shakira, but she postponed. So we actually just hired a band and had our own party. But our next Sugarpalooza 6 is in June, and it's for Shakira. So we've got a double suite. We're inviting people we have people come from Australia, London, Canada, all over the world to come, and they're fans of the show, and the Sugar Daddies sponsor it. And then the girls come, and it's free for them. It's, a weekend and private suite party bus to and from the concert. And they form the most amazing connections I've ever seen.
It's cool.
Like absolutely amazing connections. And it's still shocking to me. I know how it's going to go, but the women and the men that come, they still are surprised on how loving everybody is.
A lot of them are very nervous and
they're nervous,
apprehensive, and they'll message me and they're like, do you think that I'm going to fit in? Do you think it's going to be okay? Especially like the older ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, absolutely. You're not as old as I am, and I have a ball at these events.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's what we do to kind of bring the community together.
I love that. You'll be tagged on everything, whenever I post stuff, and my team will make sure that you guys are tagged, and links are put in the descriptions and everything else. And I never do a thing at the end like, hey, say where everybody can find you. People don't do that shit. So you'll be your Instagram or whatever, and we'll talk afterwards. Whatever social media platforms the podcast is on, will be tagged or add as a collaborator on when shorts go out and the clips go out and all that stuff too.
Great.
So we'll get you out there. I think thank you for coming in and just being vulnerable and sharing your stories. I think it was awesome.
Great.
It was extremely enlightening.
We love talking about the lifestyle because we're so immersed in it now, and we've talked to so many people. I'm very confident we have a pulse on what's going on out there, and it's so misunderstood, but it's getting better.
And thanks for inviting us. No one hates an excuse to come to Vegas and have a little fun.
Right?
I'm blessed. I mean, I've been to Phoenix, I've been to Tempe, I've never been to Scottsdale, but maybe it gives me an excuse. I go down there sometime and do a remote.
Oh, absolutely.
And it would be hilarious.
Yes.
We'd love to have you on our show. We record right there in the heart of Old Town.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. And any excuse, I'd bring the wife to go down there and hang out
absolutely.
And check stuff out. But it's cool to, other podcasters I love having on that are just like-minded, and you get it, and you're going to come in here and we're just going to have like a really good talk, and there's no expectations, there's no gotcha shit. It's just, let's just sling it and see where it goes. So thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you for the swag.
Yeah, I'm going to be wearing it. I'm going to wear it today.
My
it's weather
pleasure.
for it.
My pleasure.